Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
My fellow Americans, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425 if you want to be on the program. If you'll text the word Army to 33777, kindly please fill out the form. Don't need your phone number, just your email, your zip code, your name. So as we come into your neighborhood, I'll be able to send you a note and say, hey, we're in your area if you want to come hang out as we start going around the country with the show. Now, I want to switch gears. I'm sure we'll circle back as news is continuing to break on the assassination. And I do want to answer a question out of the gate. A number of people emailed over the weekend, even before what happened yesterday, and said, how can I donate to Donald Trump where my money's actually going to the right place? I need to explain to you, sadly, the problem at this point. Frustrates me to no end. The normal portal, if you go to Donald Trump's website, you're gonna get referred to a WinRed website. WinRed is the portal for the GOP for donations, and I set up a page with all of the great candidates this year. I thought it'd be good for you to support. And I never sent it out. And the reason I didn't send it out is because I know and you know if you give money through that portal, they're going to start texting you nonstop. I just got another text from another candidate, another campaign, and I reply stop every time, and then another number comes. And I have stopped recommending, if you want to give a campaign money, write them a check and put it in the mail. Go to their website, find their address, put it in the mail. Because, or you can do the online portal at WinRed and lie about your phone number. Do not give them your real mobile phone number, because it does not matter. You can say, don't text me. They're going to text you. And in good conscience, for the first time in my career, I cannot in good conscience recommend that you give money to any candidate through any online portal because you're going to be spammed. And I think it does you a disservice. I think it's abusive. And I'm not going to play a part of it. So either mail them a check or lie about your mobile phone number. Make it up. Because otherwise, you're never going to stop hearing from those people with your cell phone number. I think, honestly, I'm finally at the point where it's time for me to get a new cell phone number, because someone tied to the Trump campaign has started giving my phone number. And I know who it is who has started doing it, and I blocked that person now. But he's given my cell phone number to a number of people who I don't particularly want to have my phone number, and they call me. I don't answer phone numbers I don't recognize. I used to, because I wasn't an important person, and it was always the important people who called from the unknown number. Now I'm the important person, and the unknown number, they're trying to get me, so they can deal with it. But it's probably time to change my phone number. Philip and Charlie have been after me a while to change my phone number. Here's the problem, though. All the verification services that send me texts to verify my accounts. So I got to find a way to roll over my phone number to I guess to Google Voice or something, so I can keep my phone number and then get a new primary phone number, and then ultimately cancel it after I've gone through all the verifications. Because how do I get into my bank account? It sends me digits, and I know Authenticator app, and I've been slowly moving everything over to Authenticator apps. But how do I know I need the Authenticator app until there's a program I've logged into, and it's been a while. I haven't had to have my phone number, and now suddenly I do. I'm like, dadgummit, I'm stuck with my phone number now. I gotta do this. But slowly but surely, I'm trying to figure out a way to get a new phone number. At this point, I need one. Nonetheless, and then you got all the text. But I mean, I just every day it's hey, I'm candidate so and so. Don't you want to help me win? No, I don't want to help you win because you texted me. Now I want you to lose. Now, in that regard, I want to, Susan Glasser's having a moment. She's the New Yorker reporter who prides herself on being a great fact checker and has doubled down on stupid, refusing to acknowledge she got it wrong when Donald Trump was talking about Kamala Harris at the debate, wanting to perform trans surgeries for people in prison, for illegal immigrants in prison. Kamala Harris, actually, that's a stated position of hers. She wants to be able to perform, to have taxpayer-funded transition surgeries for trans inmates who are illegal aliens. That is a position Kamala Harris has taken. Susan Glasser's like, I don't know what he's talking about. I think he must be making it up. Even the New York Times has had to concede that actually Donald Trump was right. And it's such a crazy position. None of them want to acknowledge she took such a crazy position, which is why they're all lying about it. But anyway, that's Susan Glasser. Now she's on TV, on ABC. She had this to say.
And Susan, what Harris and Donna said this as well, she really got under Donald Trump's skin. But do you see this debate as making any sort of big difference, or does it just cement her as the nominee?
Yeah, Martha, look, clearly the theory of the case from the Harris campaign was if you bait Donald Trump, he will take the bait. I think their strategic goal here is to make the race in effect, a referendum on Trump, to turn him into an incumbent. There's a reason that the United States has not elected a former president in such a long time. It's generally speaking a country that looks forward. Now, we're in the unusual position where Harris is the incumbent vice president. We also don't have a habit of picking incumbent vice presidents. So whatever the outcome of the election is going to be very, very unusual in historical terms. But I look at those polls and I say, it's really notable the difference between how Democrats responded to the defeat of their candidate, Joe Biden, in June with the full-fledged panic and pushing Biden out of the race versus how Republicans have, been confronted with, I think, some pretty serious questions about Trump's age, his fitness for office, his ability to answer, to look the American people in the eye and to give a coherent answer to any of the major questions facing the country. And yet, support for Trump among Republicans is immovable, even if, like Governor DeWine on your program earlier today, they're very uncomfortable, some of them, with Donald Trump, but nonetheless, they've stuck with him.
The larger point here is the Democrats now are convinced that Donald Trump is the Joe Biden in the race. And the even larger point is she wants to make Kamala Harris wants to make this a referendum on Donald Trump. I got to play you some additional audio on this. Now, you can rightly ask, hello, why didn't you do this during the debate, ABC News? This is Martha Raddatz talking to one of Harris's surrogates, a governor. I want you to listen to this exchange because it gets to the problem with making this a referendum on Donald Trump. This, again, Martha Raddatz talking to, I forget exactly, it is, I can tell you, what's her name? Maura Healey. She's a national board member, Governor Maura Healey, board member for Trump, for Kamala Harris. Listen to this.
I want to ask you about her comments about the military. She said during the debate this about the U.S. military. Let's listen.
As of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
Our fact checkers found that to be false, and I have a lot of experience in that area as well. There are currently 900 U.S. military personnel in Syria, 2,500 U.S. troops in Iraq. All have been under regular threat from drones and missiles for months. We also have action in the Red Sea. We also, every single day, the Navy SEALs, Delta Forces, special operators can be part of any sort of deadly raid. So why would she make that claim?
Well, I think what's important here, Martha, is that Kamala Harris, in contrast to Donald Trump, demonstrated herself to be commander-in-chief. We are in a world where there are all sorts of conflicts, and it's all the more reason we need somebody who's serious and who supports the military.
So she demonstrated herself as being commander-in-chief by not knowing we have soldiers in combat zones. That's it. Notice the fact check didn't happen in real time at the debate. In fact, Lindsey Douglas from the debate has basically come out and said they wanted to fact check Trump since the CNN debate didn't do it. Now the fact checks are coming about Kamala Harris and how clueless she is. So this is the point. This is the point. If Kamala Harris wants to make this a referendum on Donald Trump, Trump should obviously, it's not rocket science, make it a referendum on the Biden-Harris administration. Obviously, make it a referendum on the Biden-Harris administration. And what do you have to do with it? Well, the cost of homes. I mean, all you have to do is take Kamala Harris's statement that home ownership is increasingly out of reach for people from the debate and say, who did that? Or take her, we're going to do anti-price gouging legislation. Well, who caused the price gouging? Time and time and time again, just turn her words on herself. I do have to say, I'm starting to see really good Trump ads. In fact, I was watching football yesterday, and I've noticed that the ads from the Trump campaign themselves.
But Governor, excuse me.
Well, actually, you know what? This is worth letting you finish the Martha Raddatz bit here. My computer was trying to tell me I should have let you continue listening. Here's the rest of it.
It's the military. And just remember,
But Governor, excuse me, but she said there is not one member of the United States military who is on active duty in a combat zone. That is not true. You say she demonstrated her ability to be commander-in-chief, but did she not know about these people in Syria and Iraq? Why would she say that?
Look, that was a comment. That was a comment in a debate. I think the point that she was trying to make was a broader point.
Yeah, okay. That was worth finishing out. But nonetheless, make this a referendum on that administration. There's no need to, and I realize he can't help himself. He wants to mean tweet Taylor Swift. That's fine. But make it about the Biden-Harris administration. Nothing else matters. The cats and dogs of Springfield, Ohio do not matter. Kamala Harris's niece doesn't matter. Her husband doesn't matter. The way her husband and Tim Walz's wife kissed each other doesn't matter. What matters is the economy and the border and crime. And every moment not focused on those, focused instead on hating Taylor Swift, is a moment of distraction away from what's going to win this campaign. Kamala Harris wants to turn this into a referendum on Donald Trump. Donald Trump can make it hard on her or make it easy on her. And it will become hard for her to make it a referendum on Donald Trump when he's making a referendum on these 4 years that Kamala Harris has had, when most Americans prefer, and remember, it's not a plurality, it's a majority of Americans prefer the Trump-Pence administration. They prefer the policies. They prefer the economy. They prefer all of that. So stop letting her get a pass. And I got to say, the Trump ads, the actual campaign ads, have been much better. They've gotten sharper, more focused. They're well done. It's the super PAC ads that are still coming across as kind of like, boy, y'all cut some corners on these ads. But the Trump campaign ads I've been seeing lately on TV in Georgia, and there are a lot of them, and they're finally starting to outpace the Kamala Harris ads. Between the Trump ads and the Trump super PAC ads, I'm starting to see more of those than of the Harris ads, which is good. And I think that's going to help us poll numbers in Georgia. I continue to believe that because the Electoral College is so close, that Donald Trump still has an edge. And it's not just me. Even Harry Hitton at CNN is saying the same thing. I want to play you that audio when we come back.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. The holidays are here, and you know what that means? It's time to get your friends and family the gifts they deserve. Take the stress out of shopping with Amazon's great deals and low prices on a huge range of items from toys to tech and much more. Whoever you're gifting for, Amazon has great prices on everything you need this holiday season. Shop Amazon for all your gifting needs.
Greetings, conversationalists. It's Eric Erickson here. I got some audio you need to hear. This is from Harry Hinton on CNN. He's their polling guy. He's making a point I've been making. Now, granted, I've been making it, and some of you have been questioning me, and so I'm going to play you CNN, so you're really going to question it because you don't trust CNN. But the point is actually a sound point that needs to be said. This is John Berman and Harry Hinton on CNN.
All right, so, it's not that surprising, Mr. Berman, from my undisclosed location. You'll never guess where I am. So take a look here. National polls in the last month, including leads within the margin of error. Look, Kamala Harris leads in pretty much every single national poll. She's led in 9 of the polls that have been released over the last month. Trump has just led in 1 national poll over the last month, and we've had 1 tie. So the fact that a national poll shows Kamala Harris ahead, not really much of a surprise because, John, pretty much all of them do.
And the thing is, Harry, thanks to the Founding Fathers, this isn't a national election exactly, is it? Oh, now you're suddenly behind me. You keep on moving. There's Harry, still in an undisclosed location, but at least virtually behind me, making me very nervous. All right, Harry, talk to us about what the states look like, the battleground states.
Yeah, so look, this is about the Electoral College, right? So let's take a look at the average margin. Nationally, Harris is ahead in the average poll by 2.5 points. But look in those 7 key battleground states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Harris is only ahead by 0.3 points, John. So the bottom line is, in those 7 key battleground states, it's a significantly tighter race than it is nationally, John.
So Al Gore and Hillary Clinton are calling right now, Harry, asking what the chances are that Harris could win the popular vote but lose in the Electoral College.
Okay. So basically, you note that 2.5-point lead nationally here, right? Okay. Harris's chances, if she wins the popular vote by 2 to 3 points, the chance she wins the Electoral College is only 53%. The bottom line is, once you have to get all the way north to about 3 to 4 points for Harris to have a clear chance, the clear majority chance of winning the Electoral College. If she only wins by less than 2, look at that. Only a 23% chance of winning. Right now, Harris is right now in that danger zone where basically about half the time, given that popular vote margin nationally, she would win. And so here's the situation. Chance Harris wins the popular vote at this point is about 70%, but the chance she wins the Electoral College is only about 50%.
Yes, that's the point. The polls are still so close. Forget the national polling. Look at the Electoral College polling. For the national polling, to Harry's point, as I've been saying myself, she needs to be over 3 percentage points in the polling average, not the individual polls, but the polling average. She needs to be over 3 points to have over a 50% chance of winning the election. Because Republicans do have an Electoral College advantage right now. The Democrats used to. It shifts over time, and demographically right now the GOP has an advantage, and one of the reasons I'll get to when we come back. Right now I got to tell you about Old Glory Bank because they want to be your bank. They would love for you to do business with them at Old Glory Bank. I do business with them. I have my checking account and my savings account with Old Glory Bank. I have the no-frills, no-fee checking and savings accounts, and I still get a lot of options. The online bill pay, the online budgeting tools, the app, the ability to freeze my debit card if I've misplaced it, turn it back on with no fees. It's fantastic. And you can get a premium account. You can get a business account. If you're a gun store owner and other banks are giving you a hard time, you can go to oldglorybank.com. You get an account for your business, and you're never going to worry about them canceling you because they're by conservatives, for conservatives. They're a great company. Old Glory Bank. Go to oldglorybank.com. Get your account today for you. Get a custodial account for your kids. No fee checking, no fee savings. You can deposit cash even though it's an online bank. They've got it all set up. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. It is my bank, oldglorybank.com. Here's the editorial for the Cincinnati Enquirer. There's no place in politics for violence. That said, the former president, Donald Trump, brings a lot of this stuff on himself. The media tells you everything you need to know. All right. Oh, gosh. There was a call I had wanted to take, but he hung up from Connecticut. So I'm going to move on to this particular story. This gets back to the polling. Keep your eye on the prize. Let me actually say this to you in this way, because the campaigns now, we're at a quite a pace. It is closer and closer to Election Day. We have about 50 days left. And in the process, a lot of people are going to start getting very jittery about what's going on. The reality, however, is that this is an extremely close race.
Motivated to come here
and the focus on the presidency, the focus on the I opened 270 to win, and it started playing an ad that had audio in it. I was going to 270 win for the precise countdown. They have the very precise to the second countdown of when the polls open first in the country. Nonetheless, playing a stupid ad that auto-populated with sound. So here's the deal. Focus here. Everything doesn't matter. Everything does not matter right now. What matters is the message and what the message is, and how all of the news around you flows into the message. Kamala Harris's message is that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy and he's too angry and we don't need to go backwards. So when J.D. Vance goes on CNN and argues with Dana Bash about, for example, the cats and dogs of Springfield, Ohio, the Democrats can spin that as, look, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are lying, and they're telling stories about migrants to try to get people's votes. And if they're going to lie about that, what else are they going to lie about? You and I may not like it, but it's a fair campaign tactic. But at the end of the day, you know what matters? What matters is in Springfield, Ohio, Aurora, Colorado, El Paso, Texas, and elsewhere, migrants, many of whom are violent, are overwhelming cities and bringing gang warfare to cities that didn't have it. In Springfield, Ohio, thank God the Haitians are not, but they're bringing problems, including overwhelmed social resources, overwhelmed water sanitation, overwhelmed traffic problems, overwhelmed schools, overwhelmed healthcare. They've come for jobs. They've overwhelmed the city. The city is taking on too many people in too little time, and that's a problem for the Biden-Harris administration. And now there's this headline: wage growth actually won't keep up with inflation this year. This is from Quartz. Workers' wages will take longer to recover from inflation than previously expected, as actual prices rose more than projected and worker compensation fell short of expectations so far this year. Pay will finally outpace pandemic-era inflation in the second quarter of 2025, a timeline that was pushed back from the fourth quarter of 2024, according to a recent Bankrate analysis of federal inflation figures and employee wages and salaries released Monday. Since January 2021, inflation has risen 20%, while wages increased 17.4% in the same period, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data for the second quarter of this year. While Bankrate had previously estimated that wages would finally catch up with inflation by the end of this year, a slowing job market has made that scenario less likely, the personal finance firm found. Our projections were never meant to be a forecast, said Bankrate analyst Sarah Foster in a statement. They were simply a model for how things would look if the economy kept evolving the way it had been. But thanks to the slowdown we've already seen in the job market, wages are on pace to recover from inflation later than they were expected to at this point last year. The cooling U.S. jobs market has signaled that it's time for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates, a move that's largely expected in the next week. Employers added 142,000 jobs last month, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported last Friday, and the unemployment rate ticked down to 4.2% from 4.3%. That's still a second straight month of unemployment rate higher than the 4.1 maximum projected by the Fed. Not only that, but they have regularly then revised the numbers in the subsequent month. I'm adding that part. There's the issue of this campaign summarized. Your wages have not kept up with inflation, and the media and the Democrats have lied repeatedly to tell you, yes, they have. It's simply not true. And that issue is ripe for exploitation and use by the Trump campaign. The Democrats can say that Donald Trump is lying about dogs and cats in Ohio. Trump can say they've been lying about the state of the economy. Everybody expects politicians to lie. What people expect, though, are solutions for their lives. And the Democrats don't have those solutions. Wage growth falling behind inflation matters. Now, certainly there's going to be some rally effect that happens in the stock market if the Fed actually does cut rates. And in fact, the Fed expects to do so. Right now, the Dow is touching new records. The S&P 500 is up right now. They all expect the Federal Reserve to start cutting rates. And more they're starting to think it could be 0.5% instead of 0.25%. I'll be honest with you. My gut tells me the Fed cuts 0.25%, and since I've been so wrong on what the Fed's going to do, I'm going with 0.5%. But they seem to be overly cautious, and the fact that inflation is still above 2%, that's something people dance around. The Fed is the interest rates are still above 2%. The Fed wants wants inflation at 2%. But inflation's above 2.5%, which still makes me think that they're going to cut interest rates, but maybe only 1/4 instead of 1/2. But since I've been wrong about what they're going to do, I've been telling people, I think they're going to cut 1/2. The markets think they're going to cut 1/2. The markets may fall if they don't. There's going to be a frenzy. There's going to be a rally, and the media is going to spin it as a good thing for Kamala Harris. But they're having a harder and harder time doing that. Because at the end of the day, this goes back to the Harry Hinton point. If you weren't here in the last segment, Harry Hinton is the stats guy and poll guy for CNN. In the swing states, Kamala Harris's polling, she's only 0.3 of a point ahead of Donald Trump. That's a tie. Now, yes, it is true. It is absolutely true. The Democrats have a better ground game than the Republicans. If you hear any Republican telling you that's not the truth, they are lying to you, and I am telling you the truth because I know the people in charge of the ground game, and they think that the Trump campaign made an early strategic mistake in outsourcing it to third parties because of lack of funds. In a very close race, turnout matters, and turnout comes from ground game, and that's a concern for Trump. But the enthusiasm of Trump supporters is high. They may not need a ground game to turn themselves out. And when you have an economy the way the economy is right now, that starts to turn against Kamala Harris. It starts to turn against the Democrats. And so all the noise out there about the Donald Trump and his tweeting for Kamala Harris or for Taylor Swift, all the noise out there about cats and dogs, all that stuff begins to not matter in a faltering economy. All that stuff begins to not matter as we slip further into recession. You know, Philip and I were on the front porch last night, as we do on Sunday nights. Bourbon and cigars as we watched the football. Last night was the Bears in Houston. The Oilers, people. It was the Houston Oilers. They just changed the name to the Texans. You can argue with me later on that one. I grew up with the Houston Oilers. I think they should go back to that. Nonetheless, I digress. But Philip was talking about taking his son to Bass Pro. And you know what's not selling at Bass Pro right now? The high-end bass boats. And in fact, it turns out to be a thing that higher-end bass boat sales have slowed down. The cheaper trawlers are selling, the kayaks are selling, but the more expensive bass boats, they're not selling. Why? Because it's easy to decide I'm not going to buy the $98,000 bass boat when the economy's in recession. All of the indicators are there that the economy's not doing well. Let's go back to the pay story from Quartz. So what the media's been telling us is actually wage growth is now above inflation, and so you're actually starting to make more money now, and that's a good thing. The data from outside private sector entities that review it says not so fast. Not so fast. Actually, wages are still behind inflation in the country. The public sector data said wages have now exceeded inflation. The private sector data says that's not true. I'm willing to believe the private sector data more than the public sector data because, one, it tends to be more accurate, and two, the anecdotal evidence around you begins to compile the data when people are pulling purchases, when people aren't buying the expensive boats, when people are saving money and they're cutting more coupons. In fact, I was at the grocery store the other day and the cashier was commenting to me, and again, it's anecdote, not data, but the anecdotes begin to add up. She says she's starting to see more and more people shopping with coupons, that they go through phases. And when people start shopping with coupons, it means a recession's on the way. In her mind, the economy slowed down and more people are cutting coupons. You have to always be careful to separate the anecdote from the data. But when you encounter the same anecdote over and over and over and over, it's becoming data. And when the store cashiers are telling you more and more people are using coupons, the Sunday newspaper sales are going up, that's always a big red flag. Why do Sunday newspaper sales go up in a recession when people are cutting back? Because you can make all that money back in the coupons you're cutting, because you get the coupons in the back of the newspaper. The Sunday newspaper is always stuffed with sale papers and coupons. The economy's slowing down. People's wages haven't caught up with inflation. People are starting to cut back. People aren't making luxury purchases now. They're not making expensive purchases right now. The economy is what matters. It's the economy, stupid, as James Carville said. Kamala Harris can focus on a vibes election all she wants. She can try to make it a referendum on Donald Trump all she wants. This is an economic message campaign, and she doesn't have one. Again, this is the key point. It's not that Donald Trump didn't have a bad debate against Kamala Harris. He didn't have a good debate. But it doesn't matter because Kamala Harris was asked out of the gate, are people better off now than they were 4 years ago? And she couldn't answer it. And the lingering effect in the polling is starting to show up that Kamala Harris might have had a better debate than Donald Trump. The undecided voters think she did, but the undecided voters don't care because she couldn't answer the question about their needs and their concerns. And it provides an opportunity for Donald Trump to rebound and regroup and remessage this campaign. It's going to be a message he can win on. The economy, the economy, the economy, not Taylor Swift. Not even the personal attacks on Harrison Walls. It's that Kamala Harris has no path to victory because she has no message on the economy. And if Donald Trump can get that out, he can win this election. It is a very close race in the swing states right now. Nationally, Harris is not doing well enough for it to translate into an electoral college win. She needs to be up by another point or two to even begin to have a chance in the electoral college. Right now, she has a 23% chance of winning the presidency based on the electoral college, according to CNN's math. These are warning signs for the Democrats. They're also warning signs for the Republicans. You've got to do better focusing your message. And if you can, and focus on the economy and not the extraneous stuff, you're going to win. You're going to win. It's the economy that matters. Yet again, sound like a broken record, but it got to be repeated. It's the economy that matters. This other stuff doesn't matter. Not even the cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio. Now, I got to tell you something else that matters is Hillsdale College. They matter greatly in the minds of Americans because they shape education. They don't indoctrinate. They give you so much of their content for free. All you do is go to ericforhillsdale.com today, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, you can get Imprimis for free. You can get the lecture series on the Constitution and citizenship for free. You can get the Hillsdale College Podcast Network for free. All these things you get for free, and they educate you. The Hillsdale College Podcast Network is available in your favorite podcast app. Just look for it. Get the lectures by Dr. Larry Arnn, the conversations by Hillsdale faculty and staff and others. Get Imprimis. It comes to your mailbox completely for free. All you do is go to ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. Sign up for Imprimis. It is show prep for my mind. I've been reading Imprimis since I was in law school. It was my gateway drug into the conservative movement. It's always educational. It's always informative. It's always great to read, easy to digest. Sit down, spend some time with it. It's show prep for you as well. ericforhillsdale.com, ERICK, ericforhillsdale.com. Greetings. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? It's an old philosophical question you get in grade school. Let me add a new philosophical question for you. If John Rahm wins Live Golf and no one's there to watch it, does he actually win it? I mean, he and his bank account are the only ones that care, and he won it, but nobody's watching Live Golf, which I'm kind of glad about. Listen, I don't care if you like Live Golf or not. It's got some great golfers, but many of those guys went over there for the money. It's not the meritocracy of the PGA. I love the fact, for example, take the, what is it, the U.S. Open, not tennis but golf, that anybody who's a good golfer can compete in the qualifiers and get into Pinehurst to play that tournament, and people sometimes do, and some of them do quite well. And it's just the PGA, and I realize that the U.S. Open is not really PGA, but it's the PGA Tour is the meritocracy. A great golfer can get into it and make a lot of money, like Scotty Scheffler's doing right now. And with Live, it's the well-known brands going, many of them fading away. They're not doing well on the PGA. And they go to Live. They do these group competitions and the like. And I don't care for it as much. And it's not on, I guess it's on the CW shows, but I don't know. I would love to see and Brooks Koepka and DeChambeau are going to play Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler in Las Vegas in December. That would be a fun thing to go see. I'm not going to, by the way, but it'll be fun to watch on TV. It's going to be on Netflix, I believe. I don't really care much about Live Golf. I am fascinated by the rise of the Saints in football. They've been doing remarkably well. My native team. I'm not actually a Falcons. I've never been a Falcons fan. I'm from Louisiana, and in Louisiana, you rooted for the Braves and you rooted for the Saints. Now, I grew up overseas, so I rooted for the Cubs growing up, but I became a Braves fan. But the Saints have kind of been the team, and they're actually doing quite well. And it is just so nice to have football back. On my front porch last night, we watched the Chicago Bears and the Houston Oilers Texans playing football, and it was great. The weather, although post-hurricane. So I don't know if those of you who are not in the South and you don't have the hurricanes roll through, it gets really humid after hurricanes come through. And so Francine or whatever her name was, she blew on through the other day. It's been drizzly rainy here. Weather's finally good today. There's blue in the sky. But it just got profoundly muggy after it was all over. That's starting to blow away too, which is a good thing. All right, when we come back, I want to take Mark's phone call when we come back. Also, I have two completely unrelated stories, one from Finland, one from here. Here, families are beginning to flee blue states to red states. In Finland, young men are becoming monks at a high rate as women are not embracing conservative Christianity, and a growing number of young men are. That is a trend that's actually playing out globally. And in Finland, the way it's manifesting itself is a bunch of young men are becoming monks. They're joining Orthodox priesthoods and becoming novices and joining monasteries, reducing the supply of available men in the market for young women. It's a wild story, but it has everything to do with this global phenomenon we're seeing here, and families running out the door of blue states, headed to red states because the policies, the values, and the education systems and the cost of living are so much better for them and their families. Let's just hope they don't turn the red states blue when they do it. We'll examine it all when we come back.